Lily has just moved to Boston after completing her master's degree in business, ready to begin a new chapter of her life. However, even with this fresh start, she feels stuck between her past and her future. The story opens with Lily standing on a rooftop deck, taking in the city skyline, lost in her thoughts. Earlier that day, she gave a heartfelt eulogy at her father's funeral. While the community adored him, Lily has complicated feelings. She struggles with the fact that her father, though beloved by others, was difficult behind closed doors, especially in his relationship with her mother. Lily also feels upset with herself and her mother for never opening up about the challenges they faced as a family. As she reflects on her emotions, grief, frustration, and confusion, Lily feels overwhelmed by the memories and the weight of what was left unsaid. She's searching for peace in the midst of her internal turmoil. Her solitude is interrupted by the arrival of Ryle Kincaid, a neurosurgery resident who seems just as conflicted as she is. He walks onto the rooftop, carrying his own burdens. The moment they meet, there's an undeniable connection, as if they were meant to cross paths at this very moment. They quickly begin sharing naked truths, open and honest thoughts about their lives and dreams. Ryle reveals his ambition to become the best neurosurgeon in his field, while Lily shares her desire to leave her marketing job and pursue her dream of opening a floral shop. As they continue to talk, Ryle, in his straightforward manner, admits that he's very drawn to her and expresses his interest in taking their connection further. Though Lily finds him incredibly attractive, she stands by her values and explains that she doesn't engage in casual relationships with people she's just met. Before the conversation can go any deeper, Ryle receives an urgent call from the hospital and has to leave. Their meeting ends with a sense of unfinished business, as Lily is left reflecting on the unexpected connection. She wonders about the significance of this encounter and what it might mean for her journey ahead. In this captivating story, Lily is not only trying to figure out her career and love life, she's also working through her own complex emotions, balancing the past and the hope for something new in her future. 6 months have passed, and in that time, Lily has worked hard to bring her dream to life. With a mixture of nerves and pride, she takes her mother to the empty storefront she purchased with her inheritance. The space is filled with potential, and as they step inside, Lily can't help but feel the weight of the moment. This shop is more than just a business to her, it's a symbol of her independence, a fresh start after everything she has been through. Her mother beams with pride, sensing how much this place means to her daughter. The shop is still a blank canvas, but Lily envisions the beauty that will soon fill it, rows of vibrant flowers, thoughtful arrangements, and a space where she can create something entirely her own. She's excited but also aware of the challenges ahead. Opening a shop is no easy feat, but she's determined to succeed. Later that day, Lily interviews Alyssa, a bubbly and passionate woman who radiates energy from the moment she walks in. It doesn't take long for Lily to feel like Alyssa is exactly what she needs. Alyssa's enthusiasm for the shop is infectious. She has big ideas, a clear vision, and a work ethic that matches Lily's own. Within minutes of talking, it's clear that they're on the same wavelength. Lily hires her on the spot, confident that Alyssa's determination will be a perfect fit. What's even better is that Alyssa isn't just a great employee, she quickly becomes a friend. They share laughs and ideas, and it feels like they've known each other for years. As they dive into the setup of the shop, things take an unexpected turn when Lily accidentally sprains her ankle. The pain is sharp, and she can barely stand. Worried but unable to leave Lily to handle the rest alone, Alyssa quickly springs into action. She pulls out her phone and calls for backup, her husband, Marshall, and her brother, who are both watching football at a bar nearby. When the two men arrive, Lily feels a sudden jolt of recognition. Alyssa's brother steps through the door, and Lily's heart skips a beat. It's Ryle, the man from the rooftop, the one who had left such a strong impression on her months ago. She remembers their deep conversation, their instant connection, and the unexpected tension that lingered after he had to leave. In that moment, it feels like the universe has brought them together again, but this time under very different circumstances. Ryle, who doesn't seem to have recognized her yet, immediately steps in to help. There's an undeniable sense of fate in the air as Lily watches him approach, her mind racing with memories of their first encounter. Their paths have crossed again, but now with new layers. Alyssa's her friend, and Ryle is her brother. It's a twist Lily never saw coming, and she's left wondering what this unexpected reunion could mean for both of them. As they work together to help Lily, the unspoken connection between her and Ryle seems to hang in the air, leaving Lily to wonder what will happen next. Is this just a coincidence, or is it the beginning of something more? After their unexpected reunion at the floral shop, Lily and Ryle continue to cross paths, almost as if fate keeps pulling them together. Whether it's a chance meeting on the street or Ryle stopping by the shop to see Alyssa, their encounters become more frequent. Despite their obvious connection, both of them try to keep their distance. Ryle is laser-focused on his career in neurosurgery, determined to be the best in his field, while Lily is pouring her heart and soul into building her floral business. Their long-term goals seem to clash. Ryle isn't interested in a committed relationship, while Lily wants stability and something real. But with every meeting, the chemistry between them becomes harder to ignore. Their conversations are laced with flirtation, and the air between them crackles with unspoken tension. It's as though no matter how much they try to push their feelings aside, the attraction only grows stronger. Feeling conflicted, Lily turns to something she hasn't touched in years, her childhood diaries. As a teenager, she had written letters in her diary addressed to her hero, Ellen DeGeneres, as a way of coping with the struggles in her life. Reading through the entries now, Lily is transported back to the difficult moments she had tried to forget. The words on the pages stir up memories of her father's behavior, the fear and confusion she felt, and the complicated emotions she wrestled with as a young girl. But the diaries also bring back memories of someone else, Atlas Corrigan. Lily remembers him vividly, a classmate who became a friend during a dark period in her life. She had first noticed Atlas living in the abandoned house across the alley from her childhood home, trying to survive on his own. Atlas was homeless, and their friendship blossomed when Lily, moved by his situation, began helping him by sneaking food and supplies to him. Their bond deepened as they confided in each other, finding solace in the friendship they shared. As Lily reads her old entries, the memories of Atlas flood back with striking clarity. He was kind, gentle, and had a way of making her feel seen in a world that often felt chaotic. Atlas became a safe space for Lily when everything else seemed uncertain. The more she remembers, the more she realizes just how much Atlas meant to her during that time. Caught between her growing feelings for Ryle and the memories of Atlas, Lily finds herself torn. The past she thought she had buried is suddenly resurfacing, forcing her to confront long-held emotions. In the present, after much back and forth, Lily and Ryle finally decide to take the plunge and give dating a real shot, despite the reservations they both had. Surprisingly, what they feared might be a distraction or a complication turns out to be the opposite. Ryle, who was always fiercely focused on his neurosurgery career, finds that Lily's unwavering support adds value to his life rather than detracts from it. Her understanding of his demanding schedule and her encouragement energize him, and he starts to see that a loving relationship can actually enhance his goals rather than stand in their way. For Lily, Ryle's attention and devotion feel like a perfect complement to the success her floral business is experiencing. With Alyssa by her side and the shop thriving, Lily feels like she's on the cusp of achieving everything she's dreamed of. Ryle becomes a part of this happiness, and soon they're fully integrated into each other's lives, sharing milestones and building a deeper bond. It feels natural, like everything is falling into place. Ryle, eager to deepen the relationship, expresses his desire to meet Lily's mother. It's an important step for both of them, and they make plans for lunch at a new and trendy restaurant in Boston called Bibbs. On the day of the lunch, the three of them gather at the restaurant, and things go smoothly, almost perfectly. Ryle and Lily's mom get along wonderfully, bonding over shared stories and their admiration for Lily's resilience. Lily watches them interact, and while she's happy to see them hitting it off, her mind is elsewhere. She's suddenly distracted when the waiter approaches their table. It's a familiar face from the past, Atlas. Her childhood friend, the boy who lived in the abandoned house, the one she secretly cared for when no one else did. 9 years have passed since she last saw him, but she recognizes him immediately. It's as though time stands still for a moment, and memories of their shared history flood back. In the present, after much back and forth, Lily and Ryle finally decide to take the plunge and give dating a real shot, despite the reservations they both had. Surprisingly, what they feared might be a distraction or a complication turns out to be the opposite. Ryle, who was always fiercely focused on his neurosurgery career, finds that Lily's unwavering support adds value to his life rather than detracts from it. Her understanding of his demanding schedule and her encouragement energize him, and he starts to see that a loving relationship can actually enhance his goals rather than stand in their way. For Lily, Ryle's attention and devotion feel like a perfect complement to the success her floral business is experiencing. With Alyssa by her side and the shop thriving, Lily feels like she's on the cusp of achieving everything she's dreamed of. Ryle becomes a part of this happiness, and soon they're fully integrated into each other's lives, sharing milestones and building a deeper bond. It feels natural, like everything is falling into place. Ryle, eager to deepen the relationship, expresses his desire to meet Lily's mother. It's an important step for both of them, and they make plans for lunch at a new and trendy restaurant in Boston called Bibbs. On the day of the lunch, the three of them gather at the restaurant, and things go smoothly, almost perfectly. Ryle and Lily's mom get along wonderfully, bonding over shared stories and their admiration for Lily's resilience. Lily watches them interact, and while she's happy to see them hitting it off, her mind is elsewhere. She's suddenly distracted when the waiter approaches their table. It's a familiar face from the past, Atlas. Her childhood friend, the boy who lived in the abandoned house, the one she secretly cared for when no one else did. 9 years have passed since she last saw him, but she recognizes him immediately. It's as though time stands still for a moment, and memories of their shared history flood back. Lily manages to stay composed throughout the rest of the lunch, but as soon as her mother and Ryle leave, she decides to linger at the restaurant. She needs to talk to Atlas to catch up after all these years. When they finally sit down together, it's a strange and emotional moment for both of them. They start to share stories. Lily tells Atlas about her life, her business, and her relationship with Ryle. Atlas, in turn, talks about his experiences in the military and how that chapter of his life shaped him. He also mentions that he has a girlfriend now, Cassie. When Atlas talks about Cassie, Lily feels an unexpected pang of jealousy, but it's fleeting. Their conversation isn't about rekindling anything romantic, it's about reconnecting with the person who once meant a lot to her. As they speak, Lily feels a sense of closure about their past. There was always a part of her that wondered what had happened to Atlas and what might have been if their lives had taken a different path. But hearing about his life and sharing her own gives her a sense of peace. By the time she leaves the restaurant, Lily feels lighter, like a chapter in her life has come full circle. She's grateful for the clarity the conversation with Atlas has brought her and feels more confident than ever about moving forward with Ryle. Her past with Atlas, though important, is just that, her past. Now, she's focused on the future, and she's excited to see where her relationship with Ryle will take her. Lily continues to find solace in rereading her old journals, diving deeper into the memories of her past with Atlas. Each entry brings her back to the quiet bond they shared, a connection that grew stronger as they confided in each other. They were both struggling with their own difficult circumstances, but together, they found a sense of hope. Over time, their feelings blossomed into something more, and they began to dream of a future beyond their hardships. They imagined a life together in Boston, far from the troubles that weighed them down in their small town in Maine. One evening, as a symbol of his deep affection, Atlas presented Lily with something incredibly meaningful, an open heart he had carved from the tree that stood between their homes. It was a gesture filled with love, representing their bond and the promise of a better future together. But just as their relationship was beginning to blossom, fate intervened. Atlas's uncle in Boston offered him a home, a chance to finally have stability and security, something Atlas had longed for. It was an opportunity he couldn't turn down, even though it meant leaving Lily behind in Maine. Their love was abruptly put on hold, and Atlas's departure left Lily heartbroken, but she understood why he had to go. Fast forward to present-day Boston, and Lily's life with Ryle seems to be moving in the right direction. Their relationship is thriving, both personally and professionally. They support each other, share dreams, and enjoy their growing connection. But underneath the surface, there are hints of something troubling. One evening, they're enjoying a cozy night together, sharing a bottle of wine and preparing dinner. Everything seems perfect, until it isn't. Ryle, in a moment of distraction, burns his hand while grabbing dinner out of the oven. In a mix of shock and nerves, Lily lets out a surprised laugh, not realizing how it might be taken. To her disbelief, Ryle's frustration quickly flares up. In a moment of anger, he reacts violently, pushing her into a cabinet. The suddenness of the act leaves Lily stunned, and a wave of memories rushes over her. She's instantly transported back to her childhood, when her father's apologies would follow similar moments of anger toward her mother. It's a chilling echo of the past, one she never imagined would resurface in her own life. Ryle is immediately remorseful, apologizing for his outburst. But for Lily, it's not just about the apology, it's about the parallels to her father's behavior. She is horrified by what happened and by the realization that her relationship with Ryle might be heading down a path she had vowed never to follow. Still, she convinces herself that Ryle is different from her father. She wants to believe that this was a one-time mistake, that his actions don't define him. Torn between her past and her present, Lily makes a difficult decision. She forgives Ryle but warns him in no uncertain terms that if he ever hurts her again, she will leave. It's a warning that comes from a place of strength and self-protection, a line she draws firmly in the sand. Lily doesn't want to punish Ryle for her father's mistakes, but at the same time, she refuses to allow history to repeat itself. As much as she loves Ryle, she knows she must protect herself from the possibility of falling into the same cycle her mother endured for so many years. The day after the tense incident with Ryle, Lily and he meet Alyssa and Marshall at Bibbs for lunch, as they often do. But this time, a sense of dread lingers in the back of Lily's mind. She had feared they might run into Atlas again, and her fears quickly come true. Atlas is there, and when he spots Lily with a visible injury and notices the bandage on Ryle's hand, his face hardens with suspicion. His eyes narrow, and Lily can sense that Atlas immediately jumps to the right conclusion, that Ryle was the one who hurt her. Without hesitation, Atlas's protective instincts kick in. He approaches Lily, concern etched on his face, but she tries to brush it off, not wanting to cause a scene. Atlas isn't convinced and, determined to check on her, follows her to the bathroom, where he gently but firmly asks if she's okay. His worry is palpable, and the familiarity between them is undeniable, though unspoken. When Ryle sees the two of them leaving the bathroom together, his temper flares. He confronts Atlas, and the tension between them reaches a breaking point. It's clear that Ryle's jealousy is igniting something deeper, his fear of losing Lily. A fight almost erupts right there in the restaurant, with both men glaring at each other, ready to strike. But Alyssa and Marshall intervene just in time, pulling them apart and preventing the situation from escalating further. As they leave Bibbs, Lily knows she can't keep things bottled up anymore. Ryle is tense, his emotions boiling over, and Lily can see the storm in his eyes. He's not just angry, he's worried. When they get home, Ryle voices what's been on his mind. He's terrified that Lily is cheating on him with Atlas. The thought of losing her to someone from her past shakes him to his core. But Lily, though shaken by recent events, reassures Ryle. She explains her history with Atlas, how they were once close but that their relationship ended long ago. She tries to calm Ryle, telling him that Atlas is only a concerned friend, nothing more. Yet even as she speaks, she can't help but feel the weight of the past hanging between them. The following day, Lily is working at her shop when Atlas stops by, unannounced. He's still worried about her, and though their interaction is brief, it's heavy with unspoken meaning. Before leaving, Atlas slips her his phone number, tucking it behind her phone's battery where Ryle won't find it. He tells Lily to call him if she ever needs him, if she ever finds herself in danger or needs help. His words are laced with concern, and though she doesn't want to admit it, the gesture gives her a sense of comfort, knowing that Atlas is looking out for her, even from a distance. Later that night, Lily returns home, emotionally drained. In search of clarity and peace, she pulls out her journal and reads the final entry she had written about Atlas. The memories rush back, clear and vivid. It was her birthday, and Atlas had returned from Boston to surprise her. That night, he opened up to her in a way he never had before, telling her how much she had meant to him. He revealed that she had saved his life, her kindness, her friendship, had given him hope when he had none. That night, Atlas made her a promise. He told her that he would come back for her, but only once he had improved his life enough to deserve her. As a symbol of that promise, he gave her a Boston magnet, something small yet significant, a reminder of the future he had dreamed of building with her. Reading those words now, Lily is hit with a flood of emotions. The magnet, the promise, the love they had shared, all of it feels like a lifetime ago, and yet it still holds meaning. But as she closes the journal, she knows that she has to live in the present. Her life with Ryle, despite its complications, is where her focus must be. Yet, the memories of Atlas linger, like a quiet reminder of a love that was never fully realized, waiting somewhere in the background of her heart. Ryle and Lily, swept up in their emotions, decide to take an impulsive trip to Las Vegas and tie the knot. Their marriage, in the beginning, mirrors the happy, carefree days of their dating life, filled with excitement, affection, and a shared sense of hope for the future. It feels like the start of a beautiful new chapter for both of them. They continue to support each other's ambitions, with Lily's business thriving and Ryle's career in neurosurgery progressing. However, things take a dark turn one evening when Ryle stumbles across something that reignites his insecurities, Atlas's phone number hidden in Lily's phone. The sight of it triggers a wave of jealousy and rage in Ryle, and before Lily can explain, the situation spirals out of control. In a fit of anger, Ryle lashes out violently. Lily later wakes up disoriented, with cuts on her face and a concussion, the aftermath of another violent outburst. This time, it's much worse than before. Unlike the previous incidents, Lily can't brush this one aside. The emotional and physical toll of the violence is undeniable. She refuses to cover for Ryle anymore, realizing that forgiving him would only lead her down the same path her mother once walked. Lily knows she has to protect herself, and this time, she is determined to leave. When Alyssa, Ryle's sister and Lily's close friend, learns about the abuse, she is heartbroken. Despite her loyalty to her brother, Alyssa fully supports Lily's decision to leave, recognizing that her safety and well-being must come first. But before Lily makes any final decisions, Alyssa urges Ryle to tell Lily about a dark chapter from his past that she believes will explain his behavior. Reluctantly, Ryle opens up to Lily, sharing a deeply buried secret he has carried with him since childhood. He reveals that when he was a young boy, he accidentally shot and killed his brother, Emerson. It was a tragic accident that changed his life forever. This trauma, Ryle explains, has shaped so much of who he is today. His fear of love, his inability to control his rage, and his obsessive drive to succeed in medicine all stem from the guilt and pain of losing Emerson. Lily listens, feeling a deep sense of compassion for the young boy Ryle once was, scarred by such a devastating event. His story sheds light on the reasons behind his violent episodes, and Ryle, in his most vulnerable state, promises that he is committed to seeking help and doing better, for himself and for Lily. Torn between her love for Ryle and the realization of how broken he is, Lily struggles with her decision. The revelation about his brother gives her a new understanding of Ryle's inner turmoil, and part of her hopes that this knowledge might lead to healing for him. In light of Ryle's promise to change, and the deep bond they share, Lily decides to reconcile with him. But even with this reconciliation, a part of her remains cautious, unsure if love alone will be enough to overcome the pain of their past. Another stretch of happiness follows as Ryle and Lily's life seems to settle into a comfortable rhythm. Ryle, in a grand gesture of love and commitment, buys them a beautiful apartment in the same building as Alyssa and Marshall. The proximity strengthens their bond as a family, especially as they excitedly await the arrival of Alyssa and Marshall's baby. Everything seems to be falling into place. On the day Alyssa goes into labor, Ryle receives incredible news. He's won a prestigious 2-month fellowship in Europe. At the same time, Lily's flower shop is featured in a local newspaper, listed as one of the best new businesses in Boston. It feels like their lives are aligning perfectly, professionally and personally. After seeing their new niece for the first time, Lily and Ryle are filled with so much joy that they begin talking about starting a family of their own. The future looks bright, and Lily can't help but feel that she's on the verge of everything she ever wanted. But then, one fateful night, everything changes. Lily arrives home to find Ryle drunk and angry, his mood darkened by something unsettling. He explains, in a voice edged with frustration, that he had read the newspaper article more closely. What initially seemed like a celebration of Lily's success has now turned into something else for Ryle. He discovered that Atlas's restaurant was also featured in the same article. Worse, in Atlas's interview, he reveals that the name of his restaurant, Better in Boston, is tied to the magnet he once gave Lily, the same magnet that symbolized his promise to her. Jealousy and insecurity overtake Ryle. As his anger grows, he begins rifling through Lily's belongings, searching for evidence of her past with Atlas. When he finds the heart-shaped carving from the tree, the same symbol she now has tattooed on her shoulder, Ryle's rage becomes unbearable. The journals she had written to Ellen DeGeneres, recounting her deep feelings for Atlas, only fuel his paranoia. He's convinced that Lily has been secretly holding on to her love for Atlas all this time. In the most violent outburst yet, Ryle attacks Lily. Despite her efforts to calm him down, Ryle headbutts her, knocking her unconscious. When she wakes, disoriented and in pain, she knows she must act carefully. Ryle is remorseful, as he has been after every incident, and in a desperate attempt to defuse the situation, Lily agrees to forgive him. But the trust is gone. Once Ryle falls asleep, she quietly gathers her strength and slips out of the apartment. Desperate for help, Lily calls Atlas. Without hesitation, Atlas rushes to her side, taking her to the hospital. There, amidst the chaos of her emotions, Lily receives life-changing news: she is pregnant with Ryle's baby. The revelation is overwhelming, and Lily is unsure of what to do next. For the time being, Atlas offers her a safe place to stay. He lets her sleep in his guest room, providing her with the comfort and space she desperately needs. The next day, Ryle informs Lily that he's leaving for his fellowship in Europe, giving her 2 months of space to think things through. He leaves unaware of her pregnancy. Lily, meanwhile, stays with Atlas, finding a sense of safety in his presence, though she worries about what his supposed girlfriend, Cassie, might think of the situation. But soon, Lily discovers something that shakes her even more: Cassie doesn't exist. Atlas had made her up. When Lily confronts him about the lie, Atlas admits the truth: he invented Cassie because he didn't want her to feel bad about his life or feel guilty for not coming back to him. It wasn't a selfish lie, but one to protect her feelings. Lily then asks the question that has been gnawing at her for years: why didn't Atlas keep his promise to come back for her? Atlas's response is bittersweet. He tells her that he did come for her during college, but when he saw her with someone else, he assumed she had moved on. He didn't want to interfere with her happiness, so he chose to stay away. Their conversation is filled with the kind of tenderness and vulnerability that only years of shared history can bring. Yet, despite the deep feelings that still exist between them, they both acknowledge that the timing isn't right. Lily is pregnant with Ryle's child, and the complexity of her situation makes it impossible for her to think about rekindling anything with Atlas. Back in her apartment, Lily finds the courage to confide in Alyssa about the traumatic events that unfolded between her and Ryle. It's a heavy burden to share, but Alyssa listens intently as Lily reveals the truth about the abuse she endured. She also breaks the news of her pregnancy, feeling both anxious and relieved to finally let someone in on her struggles. Alyssa's reaction is supportive and fierce, reminding Lily that she is not alone in this fight. Shortly after this heart-wrenching revelation, Ryle comes home unexpectedly, hoping to work things out with Lily. He's filled with remorse and desperation, wanting to mend their fractured relationship. Marshall, ever the protective husband and friend, agrees to mediate the conversation, ensuring that Lily feels safe. When Ryle walks in and sees Lily, her growing baby bump is impossible to ignore. The sight of her visibly pregnant makes Ryle's heartache even more profound. Ryle pleads with Lily to let him come back home, insisting that they can raise their baby together as a family. But Lily, feeling the weight of her experiences and the complexities of their relationship, firmly tells him to leave. She confesses, with a heavy heart, that she wishes the baby wasn't his, a statement that underscores the turmoil she feels inside. Later, she opens up to her mother about everything, about the abuse, the pregnancy, and her conflicted feelings toward Ryle. Lily's mother, filled with pride for her daughter's bravery in leaving Ryle, assures Lily that if Ryle truly loved her, he wouldn't let her go through this alone. As Lily's pregnancy progresses, she and Ryle navigate the delicate waters of co-parenting, forming a tentative truce. At first, Lily allows Ryle to help her in small ways, but as time passes, she gradually becomes more comfortable with him being around. Eventually, she even allows him to stay in the apartment during emergencies, marking a cautious step toward rebuilding some level of trust. When their daughter is born, the atmosphere is charged with emotions. Ryle stands by Lily's side, a blend of love and anxiety in his eyes. In a moment filled with tenderness, Lily suggests naming their daughter Emerson, Emmy, after Ryle's late brother. This choice brings tears to Ryle's eyes as he is overwhelmed with love for both Lily and their newborn daughter. However, as they share this beautiful moment, Lily knows she must address the future of their relationship. When Ryle asks her about what comes next for them, she poses a haunting question: what would he do if Emmy told him that her boyfriend had hit her? Ryle, understanding the gravity of her question, feels the weight of her words hit him hard. Though devastated, he chooses to be supportive when Lily asks for a divorce. It's a heartbreaking yet liberating decision for both of them, one that Lily hopes will break the cycle of abuse that has plagued her family for generations. She is determined that Emmy will never suffer in the same way she and her mother did. Fast forward nearly a year, the epilogue finds Lily rushing down the bustling street with Emmy in tow, heading to drop her off with Ryle for the day. As they hurry along, Lily unexpectedly runs into Atlas. She pauses, a mix of emotions washing over her as she introduces him to her daughter. The moment is sweet and light, a breath of fresh air in the whirlwind of Lily's life. After their brief exchange, Lily continues on to meet Ryle and say goodbye to Emmy, her heart feeling lighter with each step. But once she's done, she can't shake the feeling of wanting more. She turns back, racing down the street to catch up with Atlas. When she finds him, a sense of relief washes over her as she declares that she's ready to be with him. In that moment, as they share a passionate kiss, Lily feels a sense of closure. The struggles of her past begin to fade, and for the first time in a long while, she feels as though she's finally found a path forward, one filled with hope, love, and the promise of a brighter future.